Adrian Blackwood and the Dark Forest Adventure. It was a rainy morning in London. Adrian Blackwood, a 14-year-old boy, stood on platform 3, holding his suitcase and a small black cat in a cage. His black hair was messy, and his blue eyes were full of excitement and a little nervousness. "This is it," he whispered. "My first day at Elderbrook Magical Academy." He looked around. People were running with umbrellas. Puddles splashed as children jumped. A dog barked at a rolling ball. Adrian smiled, imagining himself soon at Elderbrook. He walked onto the train and looked for a place to sit. Most compartments were full, but then he saw a girl waving at him. "Hey, you can sit here if you want," she said with a bright smile. "Thanks," Adrian said. "I'm Zoe Whitemore. First year too?" "Yeah, I'm Adrian Blackwood." Zoe had long, wavy brown hair and warm brown eyes. She looked very friendly and full of energy. Adrian looked out the window. He said, "London looks so small from here." Zoe nodded. "It's just the beginning. Elderbrook is huge. I think we'll love it." Adrian smiled. He hoped it. A few minutes later, the door opened again. A tall boy with dark brown hair and serious eyes walked in. He looked like he didn't care about anything. "Is this seat free?" he asked. "Sure," Adrian said. The boy sat down and crossed his arms. "Sebastian Crow," he said shortly. Adrian smiled. "Nice to meet you, Sebastian." Sebastian only nodded, but Adrian noticed a tiny smile when Zoe laughed at a joke. The train started moving. Zoe pulled out some sweets from her bag. "Want one?" she asked. Adrian took one and tasted it. Delicious." Sebastian watched quietly. "I don't usually eat sweets," he said, but he took one anyway. They laughed together. Adrian felt happy. Maybe Sebastian was not so serious after all. Outside, the rain fell on the train windows. Adrian looked at the moving streets, the small shops, and children waving to their parents. "I wonder what the castle will be like," he whispered. Zoe leaned closer. "Towers, big doors, magic everywhere. And there's a lake. I've seen magic pictures about it." Sebastian said nothing, but looked interested. Adrian thought, "I think he likes magic too." When they arrived at Elderbrook, the castle looked amazing. Tall towers, shining lights, and hundreds of students. The first years followed Professor Merrin into the great hall. The hall was huge. The walls were made of gray stone, and tall wooden windows let in the light from outside. Long wooden tables were full of students. Tapestries with simple designs hung on the walls. Adrian's eyes opened wide. "Wow, this is real!" The ceremony began. The first years would soon find out which of the 4 classes they would be in. "Adrian Blackwood," called Professor Merrin. Adrian stepped out from the crowd, heart beating fast. "Class B," Professor Merrin read. Adrian looked around, saw an empty seat, and hurried over, trying not to fall. Then came Zoe's turn. "Zoe Whitemore, Class A." Zoe clapped her hands happily and sat near Adrian. "Not classmates, but maybe friends," she smiled. Finally, "Sebastian Crow, Class C." Sebastian gave a little smirk and walked to them. Maybe he looked like he didn't care, but he might have already found some friends. After the feast, everyone went to their dormitories, but Adrian couldn't sleep. Everything felt new and exciting. He decided to take a walk outside. To his surprise, Zoe and Sebastian were already waiting near the door. You couldn't sleep either? Adrian asked. Zoe giggled. No way! Elderbrook is amazing. Let's explore a bit. Sebastian shrugged. Why not? The three of them walked out into the cool night. The moon shone above the castle. They passed the lake where the water reflected the stars. Frogs jumped in the shadows. A soft wind moved the trees. Finally, they reached the edge of the dark forest. Maybe we shouldn't go in there, Zoe said quietly. Adrian grinned. Just a quick look. Come on, it'll be fun. They stepped inside. The trees were tall and dark. Strange sounds came from the shadows. Leaves rustling, an owl hooting, branches snapping. Adrian's heart beat fast, but excitement kept him moving. A sudden shadow moved behind a tree. Zoe gasped. What was that? A rabbit jumped out, and all three laughed nervously. Okay, maybe we are brave, Adrian whispered. Suddenly, a bigger shadow appeared, a giant black wolf. It was as large as a horse, with long, hairy legs. Its eyes shone in the moonlight. Zoe screamed, Run! Branches hit their faces as they ran. The wolf followed them, growling. Adrian felt his legs burning, but he pulled Zoe with him. Sebastian stopped and took out his wand. Light! A bright flash scared the wolf for a moment. Quick, this way, he shouted. They found an old wooden bridge, but when they tried to cross, the bridge broke. Adrian grabbed Zoe's hand and pulled her up. Sebastian held a branch and climbed to safety. Breathing hard, they hid behind a tree. The wolf disappeared into the dark. That was crazy, Zoe said. We could have died. Adrian laughed nervously. Well, at least we'll never forget our first night. Sebastian smiled a little. You two are trouble. They walked back toward the castle, dirty, tired, but together. Adrian felt proud and happy. As they stepped out of the forest, they froze. Professor Marin was standing there, arms crossed. Mr. Blackwood, Miss Whitemore, Mr. Crow, the dark forest, on your first night. They looked down, trying not to laugh. You will have detention tomorrow evening. Yes, Professor, they said together. As they walked back to the castle, Adrian smiled. Well, at least we're already famous. Zoe giggled. Yeah, the 3 students who survived the dark forest. Not bad for one night, Sebastian smirked, and that was only the beginning of their adventures at Elderbrook.